a scheme for close to about 1,250 crores, where we will be empowering across the length and breadth of India. We will be providing them drones at a subsidized rate of almost 80%. We'll be providing them training completely free of cost. We've got close to about 100 RPTOs that are already up. Ideation is 2% of success. Execution is 98% of success. Just look what one software can do in terms of convenience. People who take 25-30 minutes from the gateway of an airport to board their plane now do it in close to 3.5 to 4 minutes. Complete FRT, face recognition technology, software that makes you pass through gates tremendously. Believe in yourself, have a clear conscience.
I told you when I met you briefly that I'm a huge fan of your father, and I grew up watching him. To begin with, what are some of the things that you learned being his son and seeing him so closely?
So Shradha, first of all, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you at Tech Sparks. Tech and Sparks, I think those two words encompass within themselves a tremendous microcosm of what our country's potential is. A combination of technology and youth and the spark within the youth to create a model that's different. So I think the name in itself connotes a lot in terms of new energy and the new India that is rising in the world. Having said that, it's a great pleasure and an honor to be here. Going back in time to my younger days, my father was my idol, and a lot of what I learned from him in terms of I saw in him were simple attributes: honesty of purpose, honesty in relationships, commitment to a cause. When he was dedicated and committed, his sight was unwavering in terms of working towards that goal. And finally, always looking for a different way of doing things. So let me give you an example of that. When I was 16 years old and he was railway minister, he used to pay for our ticket and take me along in his delegation. And I didn't realize that at that age because I was too young, but it was a way to expose me and give me exposure. So we went to Japan and we went on the Shinkansen, and Chairman Railway Board and all the officials were there, and he said, "We've got to do something like this to create a high-speed rail connection in India that goes from point to point with the bare minimum stops." And that's how the Shatabdi Express was born in India. So it was the Indian version of the Shinkansen, and I'm talking about way back in the mid-80s, 85, 86 time period. And that Shatabdi is still serving all of us today across the length and breadth of India. He then went to Paris and we went on the TGV. And on the TGV, he saw that food was being given in casseroles. And prior to that, on Indian Railways, food was still being served freshly from the kitchen and brought in plates all over. And so the whole concept of a casserole meal was brought into the Indian Railways. He spoke with the IIT in Mumbai and said, "Produce me a trolley like in an aircraft that can turn around 360 degrees in a very small space in the galley of a train so that I can serve a casserole meal." And so therefore you had the Shatabdi and then you had the casserole meal. He then looked at computerization. In those days, ticketing was still manual, and he looked at computerization of ticketing systems in the Indian Railways and computerized completely back end to front end the whole ticketing platform on the Indian Railways. So innovation, commitment to a cause, seeing and this is something that all of us learn in startups and in business school, that ideation is 2% of success. Execution is 98% of success. And therefore, all of us must concentrate on not getting great ideas, because you can get great ideas from a bunch of VCs and private equity guys and people that you talk to. The real fruit of success lies in your ability to execute. And if you're able to execute, then that ideation really turns into reality and as a service proposition for millions of people across the country.
I would say that we can all give a big round of applause. Kaun Shatabdi mein chadha hai? Like I have, because, and somewhere it's a reminder, Mr. Scindia, and it's important reminder that we are today and what we will scale to tomorrow comes on the back of some good work that has been done.
One more thing I want to add, Shradha.
Yes.
And I think that's important for all of us that are, all of you guys that are doing startups, and relationships are very important. In today's world, we all have become slaves of this. And in many ways, this takes away from the purity of relationships, because what you can convey through words, through facial exchange, you can't do through this box. And the one thing that he always believed in was the depth of relationships. And he always followed this principle that जब आपके घर में खुशियाँ या उल्लास की आवाज़ हो, अगर उस आवाज़ में आप हमारी आवाज़ को न पाओ तो कोई कठिनाई नहीं. लेकिन भगवान न करे कभी भी अगर दुख का समय हो, उस दुख के समय में सदैव कंधे से कंधे मिलाकर उस दुख को बांटना हमारा दायित्व बनता है. And so therefore, whether you're a company, whether you're a startup, whether you're a social service person, which is what I believe, I'm not a politician, but I'm a public servant, that should be the core of your existence, because that relationship is extremely important, whether it's within your family, whether it's within your firm, with your co-workers, whether it's with your VC, the gentleman who is sitting here. Trust relationship is the most important treasure that you can develop in your life.
और इससे मुझे आपसे दूसरा क्वेश्चन पूछना है, that at some point you are in a hall full of entrepreneurs. At some point you also thought of becoming an entrepreneur. You were in investment banking. Tell us about that before you got into politics.
Yeah, it was a totally different life. I had just graduated from university, from Harvard, and many eons ago. I won't tell you how many years ago, because then you'll start guessing my age. And then I was a banker for 6 years. I was at Morgan Stanley, initially in New York, and then in Hong Kong, and then set up IBD, Investment Banking Division in Bombay. And then I decided I wanted to do something different. And what was that something different? I could not put a finger on. And therefore I thought the best way to do that is actually spend 2 years at business school. And in my second year, one of the courses that is most coveted at Stanford, you get something that's called a silver bullet, unquote, unquote. And that silver bullet you can use to gain access to a certain course that is most wide for. And so I used it for a course in entrepreneurship, which is extremely popular, and you have to build a business plan in that course. And so we formed a team, 3-4 of us at the GSB at business school, and one person from engineering at Stanford. And we put together a business plan, and we actually won that competition. And so we wanted to turn that into reality. And so we were on course. We looked at hiring a CEO. It was very early days when you didn't have outsourcing in India. Some of the outsourcing had started at very high volume, low margin business, like all the credit card calls and all. We were looking at the other end of the spectrum. We were looking at much more a low volume, high margin business, tech oriented business, something called a knock, getting IT companies, network operating centers, mirror images set up in India. So we were setting up their NOCs in India. And so we were well on our way, and I came back to find office space and get all those logistics in place. And this was sometime mid-August, late August of 2001. And a month into coming back, my life changed. I lost my father on the 30th of September, and life changed, and now it's 20 years being a public servant, which is something that I love from the core of my heart.
Mr. Scindia, I'm saying this on behalf of everyone. The way your life changed is very sad and disappointing, and it changed for us. It was a very painful moment for us. But I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate you, because I have followed you, I watch you on TV, and you go on ground, and how articulate, you bring that new age, what Indian politics needs, and that shows in the work that also you're doing and the ministry that you've got, because I don't know if all of us know that when it comes to drones, when it comes to certain policies in aviation, we are, and I can say this on record, we are forefront. We are far better than what one would see in US or Europe. So I'd love for you to tell us about what is happening there, and also take us through, what are some of the opportunities you'll tell entrepreneurs when it comes to civil aviation and steel that they can look at.
In many ways, a paradigm shift in the way the world is functioning. I think drones and advanced air mobility is one of those paradigm shifts that's already occurred across the world, or is going to occur. Prime Minister identified this in very, very early days. Couple of days since I had been given the responsibility by him. We'd put together a drone policy somewhere in March of 21. And we realized as we went through it that it was just too bureaucratic, and there were just too many approvals and too many fee structures. So the first thing we did was we took it back to the drawing board, and we completely recasted it in August 21. 2 months after my taking over, we came out with a new drone policy, where we reduced approval processes from 72 to just five approvals. We reduced fee structures from 25 fee structures to just 2 fee structures. One of the biggest things that we need to do to proliferate drones across the country is to have an airspace map. And I had committed, when I took out the drone policy in August, that within 30 days, 30 days, counting from t=0 on the day I issued the policy, we will have the drone airspace map out. Now, it's a very easy statement to put out there, but a lot of difficult work goes on behind the doors, because you got to coordinate with 36 states and union territories across the length and breadth of India to understand what are green zones, yellow zones, red zones. Close to about 25 horizontal ministries in Government of India, Defense Ministry, IT, Telecom Ministries, others, Home Ministry, to do the same exercise. And we came out with the drone airspace map. The third step that we did, so the first was policy, the second was putting out an airspace map, the third was really giving it new impetus. And the Prime Minister was very forward-looking in that, and he said that we need to advance government as one of the biggest demand builders for the drone ecosystem. And so therefore we had close to about 13 line ministries, from agriculture to power to mining to petroleum, that sourced close to 10% of their work directly through drones. And to ensure that the drone manufacturing sector, which is what you talked about, takes off, a sector that had close to only 30 crores of revenue, we put in a PLI scheme, Productivity Linked Incentive Scheme, with 120 crores worth of incentives over the next 3 years. And through that PLI scheme, today that industry has grown from a turnover of close to 30 crores to already close to 500 to 600 crores as we speak today. Now that's the kind of CAGR that you're looking at for this industry going forward. 2 aspects of it. One, hardware component. Second, the brain that goes in, software. Because for every drone function, you've got to come up with a new software. So software itself, the industry itself will grow with the drone business. And the third, most important, which is drones as a service. The ability for the drone ecosystem to garner employment the potential is gigantic. Just yesterday in cabinet, we approved a scheme for close to about 1,250 crores, where we will be empowering women across the length and breadth of India. We will be providing them drones at a subsidized rate of almost 80%. We'll be providing them training completely free of cost. We've got close to about 100 RPTOs that are already up. We're going to provide them insurance for their drones, and we're going to roll out the scheme over the next 2 years, where we will empower close to about 20 to 30,000 women as drone pilots from rural areas and urban areas. So that revolution is already here. Along with that drone revolution, I think in the area of civil aviation, you've got multiple triggers that are going to come through. The impetus that has been given to civil aviation in the last 9 years is something that this country has not seen in the era of transportation in the last 50-odd years. We have built from 74 airports in 2014 to 149 airports, heliports, and waterdromes today. So we've done a 2x in 9 years what India built in 75 years. That's the kind of multiple that we have gone ahead with. And along with that comes tremendous capability of air fleets going up, software. An example for you is DigiYatra. I don't know how many of you guys have used DigiYatra at Delhi Airport or Mumbai Airport, right? And just look what one software can do in terms of convenience. People who take 25, 30 minutes from the gateway of an airport to board their plane now do it in close to 3.5 to 4 minutes. Complete FRT, face recognition technology, software that makes you pass through gates tremendously. And so therefore, for entrepreneurs, there are tremendous opportunities in the civil aviation ecosystem as well. That's the second example. The third and final example for you is that India is finally becoming a place, because every industry goes through an S-shaped curve. The bottom of it is an industry in its infancy, and therefore the growth rates are very slow. Then you come to the steep part of the S, which is an industry in growth phase. And then when an industry attains maturity, the slope of that growth phase again peters off. And so civil aviation today in India is just beginning on its growth phase. And so the potential is tremendous. We've got 144 million travelers pre-COVID. I believe this year we will best that. I think we should close at close to about 15% growth on that. 2030, I see this number of 144 million going to 420 million. So that's a 3x in terms of number of travelers by air. Fleet size is going up. And therefore, if all this is happening, India must and has to become a base for aerospace manufacturing. It's a dream to have the airspace majors in India. That dream today has become a reality because of the Prime Minister. In Vadodara and Baroda, you've got the first manufacturing unit of Airbus, the C295 facility being made in India. Atmanirbhar Bharat, made in India, is now a reality. It's happening. 56 C295 planes have been ordered by the Indian Air Force. 16 are being brought in a fully built up condition from their facility in Spain. 40 will be built in India. It's a Tata Airbus venture, 25,000 crores. Close to 60% of all the avionics and the additional systems that will go into that aircraft will be built, hopefully, quote unquote, by MSMEs and companies in India. And that opens up a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs. And mind you, last point, space and civil aviation. Those are the two areas where technology makes a paradigm shift. It is from these two areas that technology flows into all other industries. So for example, in cars today, you have HUDs, head-up displays. That initially came from fighter jets, right? And so if you see that technology being manufactured in India, and with our powerhouse of engineering talent, believe me, and it's not a cliche, the sky is the limit.
You know, I think this deserves a big round of applause, and I'll tell you why. Because Mr. Scindia, I have to tell you that I grew up in India. I grew up in Bihar. वहाँ पे second class के से AC third chair का भी ticket लेना एक बहुत privilege की बात होती थी, और उसमें भी घर में fight होता था. That नहीं second.
But Shraddha, the remarkable thing is, and this is important, why I gave you that number of 144 million travelers going to 420 million, is because today the Laffer curve or the economies of scale argument has come into civil aviation. With growing fleet size, growing number of travelers today, most, and I can only compare my product, which is an airplane, because it's by its nature air conditioned, to a second class or a first class AC train. And today most of my tickets are at the same fare of second AC. And therefore time is of the essence today for all you entrepreneurs here as well. You need to get to from point A to point B in the shortest period of time and come back again. Life has changed hugely for us in the last 15 to 20 years. And therefore civil aviation, I believe, will become the fulcrum of travel in India in the years to come.
Something, Mr. Scindia, I always think about and say that there is so much for us to appreciate, and maybe that's a separate conversation. And somehow, हम कहते हैं ना, दूसरों की जय से पहले खुद को जय करें. और डिजी यात्रा तो बहुत ही जय जय है, क्योंकि आप अमेरिका जाइए, and I don't know, I'm sure all of you would have gone, and if you go, मुझे लगता है यूरोप, US, we celebrate so much, but it is so far behind when you have the experience at the airport. And
so in DigiYatra, we are beyond the US and Europe, okay? Because in the US and Europe, you have only 1 or 2 points where FRT is used for access. In DigiYatra, we're using 5 points of access. So from when you enter the airport, to when you do your baggage drop, to when you go through your security, to when you do your boarding gate. All those 4 to 5 points are all going to be DigiYatra. So we are end-to-end solution, which no other country in the world today has. India has today implemented across 13 airports in India.
This is, thank you. This sets the agenda for tech sparks, and for us as Indians. And we have so much to build on top of it. A lot of entrepreneurs across the country would be thinking of building something in this space, and also steel. If you could quickly tell us what are some of the opportunities you see.
Steel industry across the world is going to go through, and I'm not using this term lightly, it's going to go through a revolution. We're one of the quote-unquote hard-to-abate industries in terms of CO2 emissions. And therefore, the whole production cycle of steel is going to change from the current process to a much more eco-friendly process, and therefore the use of scrap, the use of pellets, all of that is going to come into form. Processes taking the raw material into converting it to finished product have to be much more environmentally friendly, and so therefore the whole value chain is going through a whole transformation. I've just set up 13 task forces that is looking at each aspect of this value chain and how it will change for India, because we are the second largest steel producer in the world today at close to about 160 million tons capacity. And we're going to go to 300 million tons by 2030. So that's a 2x growth. But in that 2x growth, we've got to be environmentally conscious as well, because we promised 2070 as net zero. And so therefore, across that value chain, there are tremendous opportunities, whether you look at green hydrogen, whether you look at CCUS, carbon capture, usage and storage, whether you look at getting more scrap. We have close to about 9 crore vehicles across this country in the private sector and public sector that are lying as scrap, and to be able to set up centers where you can reuse that metal and make sure that you take that as an input into steel. Tremendous opportunities across the value chain as far as steel is concerned. In terms of my advice to budding entrepreneurs, first, commitment. Nothing to replace hard work. Nothing to replace dedication. Second, the devil lies in the details, right? Always remember, cross your T's and dot your I's. Granularity is key. Make sure you follow the last mile of your PERT chart, Gantt chart, to make sure the thing gets done. Thirdly, most importantly, Your business model has to be something that does a current process a different way and provides more value. So it's got to be something new in the system that you bring about. And fourth, and most importantly, and for me this is key, believe in yourself, have a clear conscience. One of my mentors many years ago told me that always remember in life, the most important thing is to have a good night's sleep. Your deep sleep, your REM sleep is what charges you up for the next day, right? And if that's the case, always remember in life, quote unquote, the softest pillow is a clear conscience.
Mr. Scindia, the time is up, but I have to ask you a personal question. I have to tell all of you, I met him like 2 weeks back, and I just quickly got an opportunity, went into his office, and then, you know, it was like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or I don't know, when I walked out, and I was thinking, how old is he? Like, how old is he? And I went to Google search, and I searched, and I looked at his age, and I don't know if it's the right age or not, but Mr. Scindia, I have seen, and whatever I watch, you know, on TV, one has seen on internet, on Twitter, you are working round the clock, and you are all you know, you were in Madhya Pradesh, you are in different parts of the country, traveling non-stop, working non-stop. आप इतने फिट कैसे रहते हैं और दिखते हैं? क्योंकि ये इम्पोर्टेंट है, कोविड के बाद ये क्वेश्चन इम्पोर्टेंट है, क्योंकि आज it is not a prerogative that you have to become old to stay fit and to do so much. What are some of the things you do?
So there's no crazy science in this. I think that it's important. I don't think I do a great job, but if you say I do, I'm going to take that as a compliment. But I think the most important thing to watch out for is get good quality of sleep. I think that's the most important. Many of us compromise on that, and your circadian rhythm is something that you must always pay attention to. Your body needs that 7-8 hours for your organs also to sleep, to renew themselves, to replace dead cells, all of that. One, that's the most important. Second most important, and this is an order of priority. The second most important thing is watch what you eat. In today's life, junk food, fried food, all of this is really tasty. Grab it, eat it. Most unhealthy thing for yourself. So watch what you eat. I don't succeed all the time, but I try and keep off gluten as much as I can. I try and keep off lactose. Have a healthy diet. Eat at the right times. If possible, I'm a huge failure at that, but I'm always told, if you eat your dinner before 7:38, it's the best thing for you, because it gives your system time to reinvent itself before the next morning. So second most important thing, watch what you eat. Third most important thing, physical fitness. All of us are very busy in life. All of us have 10,000 things to do. The last thing that is on our priority is giving time to your body, working out. Oh, I can't do it. It's 8 o'clock at night. Now I'm not going to do it, right? The important thing is you've got to commit yourself. Give yourself, make that an appointment with yourself. The most important thing for you in life is your health. If you two things, you juggle, and don't juggle so many balls in your life that it's going to become impossible. And these are all glass balls. They're not plastic balls. If one of them fall, they're going to crack forever. And the two most important balls that you must keep the closest to your heart, one is your family and friends, and the other is your health. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Scindia, on behalf of everyone today, I would say that we are very proud as Indians, as entrepreneurs, as young people, to have a politician and have a leader like you. Please keep on doing all the amazing work that you do, because we are all a beneficiary and we've all seen the impact. So thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you.